Not too long ago, my friend Graeme and I decided to do something that at our age might have sounded a little questionable. We decided to ride our bikes from Calgary to Vancouver. About 1,000 kilometers, 10 days, roughly 100 kilometers a day. Now for context, Graeme and I had done long bike trips before when we were younger. In fact, decades earlier, we rode from Alberta all the way to Florida. But this ride felt different. We were both in our 60s. And one of the things you realize as you get older is that challenges don't necessarily get easier. Sometimes they feel bigger. And one of the moments that really stood out on that trip happened when we were riding through Rogers Pass. If you've ever driven through Rogers Pass, you know how spectacular it is. Massive mountains, long climbs, tunnels with very little light, no shoulders, and vehicles roaring past. Now imagine riding through that on a bicycle, hour after hour climbing, legs burning, breathing hard, looking up at the road that just keeps going. At some point during that climb, I remember thinking something very simple. This is hard. And that might sound obvious, but sometimes when we're in the middle of a difficult moment, we fight against that reality. We tell ourselves it shouldn't feel this hard. We wonder if we're too tired, too old, too slow. But on that climb, we realize something important. Some things in life are supposed to be hard. And that doesn't mean you're doing them wrong. It often means you're doing something meaningful. That ride wasn't about proving we were the fastest riders. Let's face it, we had slowed down over the years. It wasn't about competition. It was about challenge, about stepping outside the comfortable routine of everyday life, and reminding ourselves that we were still capable of doing difficult things. There's a line I sometimes share when talking about resilience. Resilience isn't built when things are easy, it's built when quitting would be easier. And that moment in Rogers Pass was exactly that kind of moment. Not dramatic, not heroic, just two guys on bicycles continuing to pedal when turning around would have been way easier. What I've noticed over the years is that the same pattern shows up in many areas of life. In workplaces, in teams, in personal goals. People often assume resilience means pushing through everything alone. But resilience is usually something quieter. It's the decision to keep moving forward when progress feels slow. It's the willingness to stay with something long enough to see what you're capable of. When I speak with organizations through RTJ Wellness about resilience and well-being, this idea comes up quite often. Many teams face their own version of Rogers Pass. Big projects, high-pressure situations, periods of uncertainty, moments when progress feels slow and the climb feels steep. And the question becomes very similar to the one we faced on that mountain road. Do we stop or do we keep moving forward? Now, keeping forward doesn't mean ignoring limits. It doesn't mean pushing ourselves into burnout. But it does mean recognizing that meaningful progress usually includes discomfort. Growth often does. Challenge often does. And when people learn to expect that part of the process, they tend to respond differently. They stop interpreting difficulty as failure. They start seeing it as part of the journey. By the time Graeme and I reached the top of Rogers Pass, we were tired, but we were also smiling. Because there's something satisfying about reaching the top of a climb that once looked impossible. And that feeling isn't really about the mountain. It's about what it reminds you of, that you can still grow, you can still challenge yourself, you can still do things that once seemed intimidating. And those reminders matter, especially as life gets busy and routines get comfortable. Here's something worth thinking about. Where in your life right now are you facing a climb that feels difficult? Maybe it's something at work. Maybe it's a personal goal. Maybe it's a challenge that's been sitting quietly in the background. Whatever it is, the question might not be, why is this so hard? The better question might be, is this the kind of challenge that's worth climbing? Because sometimes the most meaningful progress in life happens one small step at a time, or in our case, one pedal stroke at a time. If you enjoy reflecting like this on resilience, well-being, and personal growth, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for being here.